this is the apex of the heart, and this is the base of the heart. So it sits in the mediastinum like this. So if you guys are looking at it and you're like, okay, I'm not sure which is the right and which is the left, you can look for the coronary arteries that run right here. Ooh. This side is going to be your right atrium and your right ventricle. This side will be your left atrium and your left ventricle. All right. So then when you guys are starting to identify certain structures, what this structure right here is called your right auricle, and this structure right here is called your left auricle. Inside are the two atria, so the right atrium and the left atrium. So when we start talking about blood flow, the right atrium receives blood flow from the body, so deoxygenated blood flow. From the upper body, it's the superior vena cava. From the inferior portion of the body, it's the inferior vena cava. And you can see you guys have your probe all the way through. So blood comes from the lower portion of the body, blood comes from the upper portion of the body, and it enters into the right atria. You open it up, okay. Blood flows from the right atria down into the right ventricle through the tricuspid valve. Okay, so here you can actually see the tricuspid valves. There's three. 1, 2, 3.
Wait, I count 2.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Each of these valves are connected to muscle of the right ventricle through these cords called chordae tendineae. Okay. Mm-hmm. Cords of the heart. The cords are attached to the muscle of the right ventricle through what we call the papillary muscles. And this cut's a little shallow. It should have been down here a little bit more, but you can see this is papillary muscle right here where these cords are attached to the wall of the right ventricle. Mm-hmm. All right. The other structure that you guys have to be able to identify is the sinus, the coronary sinus orifice, which is just inferior to where the inferior vena cava comes in. So right where my probe is, right here, is where the inferior vena cava is entering into the right atrium. Right below it, right here, is the coronary sinus orifice, right here. Can you see that? Can you see that? Okay. All right. So then our blood pumps from the right atrium to the right ventricle, from the right ventricle out to the lungs through the pulmonary semilunars right here.
That's where they are.
Right here. And there's 3 of them, okay, but it's kind of cut. So you have 1 right here. Mm-hmm. The semilunars have 3 cusps. 1, here, 2, and then 3 on this side. So can you see that? 1, 2, 3? Mm-hmm. They go through the semilunar pulmonary valve, out the pulmonary trunk. And this is going out to the lungs. So this is part of your pulmonary circuit. Okay. The pulmonary trunk will branch into the left pulmonary artery and the right pulmonary artery, going to each of the corresponding lungs. When it comes back to the heart, now it's going to be oxygenated. It's going to have collected oxygen from the blood, and it's going to come back via the pulmonary veins. So you would normally have 2 pulmonary veins on the left, 2 pulmonary veins on the right. And they feed into the left atrium. Okay, so when we open up our cut here, we want to cut this a little bit more. Okay, so when you cut this, you should actually be able to see where your pulmonary veins are coming into your left atrium. So you guys want to cut this a little bit more so you can see in here. But this is a pulmonary vein, and you can see when I move my probe, it's actually moving inside the left atrium. Okay. So blood from the lungs into the left atrium via the pulmonary veins. Then it comes through which valve? From the left atrium to the left ventricle, the bicuspid valve or the mitral valve. Mm-hmm. Only two flaps this time, bicuspid valve. So there's only 2 flaps instead of 3 like the tricuspid valve. Tri and bi. Then it also is connected to the wall of the left ventricle, the through the chordae tendineae. The cords are attached to the wall via the papillary muscle, just like in the right ventricle. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then, once blood has reached the left ventricle, it will travel out through the aortic semilunar valve through your aorta, okay, which comes out right here. All right. And this is actually the start of the aortic arch. This is the branching of the brachiocephalic, and this will provide blood flow to your arms and your legs. Also in here, you guys will also have the coronary artery orifice, which will eventually lead to the will branch off to feed the coronary arteries of the heart, which feed the actual heart muscle itself. Because the blood inside here is not feeding the tissue that's supplying the heart. All right, that's it.
Yay.
Oh, the only one that you guys have to know, let me see if your moderator muscle is intact, is the moderator muscle, which you guys probably have intact because it's not cut. You guys didn't cut far enough down, so I'm not going to tear your heart, so I'm going to flip it around. Right down in here, where is it? I just saw it. Right here is your moderator muscle, and normally you can see it kind of goes all the way. It will go all the way across the ventricle. So that's the moderator muscle. And it's thought to basically, as the heart's contracting and relaxing, it's thought to prevent it from over expanding. So it keeps the right ventricle from over expansion. And I think that's it. And make sure you guys are able to identify when you're looking into atria, the way that the muscle looks inside the atrial wall. This up here is called pectinate muscle.
That's what it was.
So it kind of looks like a comb. Okay. All right. That's it.